I'm not threatening you. Say one more word, and that's 30 days. 30 days.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Sovereign Citizens Hall of Fame with your boy TP. Today, we are courtroom hopping into the courtroom of Judge Marina E. Taylor. This is going to be our first time in her courtroom. She is from the 36th District Court in the state of Michigan. We've been hanging out in 36th District Court for a minute now. A lot of great judges in that particular district, and this is a new one to me, so I'm excited to see how she handles this case. And from what I hear, guys, the guy that's before her today, Mr. Timothy Williams, has his super sovereign citizen head on. And not only will this be an appearance by Timothy Williams, but we also have 3 other appearances that we will share in another video on tomorrow. So with that being said, I want to see how Judge Taylor handles this case. I want to see what kind of arguments Mr. Williams has. So without further ado, guys, let's jump into this proceeding.
Now calling ticket number SP 1466801, ticket SP 1418401, ticket SP 1411848, SP 1283888, SP 1452301, SP 1467130, ticket SX 2454328, ticket SP 1409982, and one of these names. So SP 1409983 and SP 1283889. Appearances for the record, starting with counsel for the people, please.
For the record, Your Honor, good morning. Dia Chiku Mason, City of Detroit Law Department, 43471.
All right. And Mr. Williams, can you state your name for the record, please?
Timothy, standing before the court as a state citizen and not U.S. citizen. My nationality is American Indian, standing as the people.
Is that your full name? What's your full name?
Timothy Williams.
All right, Timothy Williams. All right, and sir, you know you have the absolute right to have an attorney. You understand that? Are you foregoing that right today?
Represent myself.
You're representing yourself.
Yeah.
Do you understand that because some of these are misdemeanors, constitutional rights kick in, such as fines going up to $500, possible jail time up to 30 days. And that's why they advise or offer you the opportunity to have an attorney, but you're not wishing to have that attorney today. Is that correct, sir?
Correct.
Okay. Make sure you keep your voice up really, really loud, okay? And today is your motion. So I'll let you start by providing what you want to start as far as your motion for why I don't have jurisdiction over these particular matters. Go ahead.
I submitted a affidavit of non-existent corporation to the Corporation Counsel, Alexa Schneider.
Okay, she's not here. You can see it. Attorney Mason. All right, but state your reasons why I don't have jurisdiction.
Well, the state of Michigan Constitution states that Article 1, Section 9, the bills of pertainers is unlawful. Section 9, slavery and voluntary servitude, and ex post facto laws. It just states that I don't need a driver's license, registration, or insurance to travel within the state. So that's
What case does it say that in, that you don't need a driver's license?
Michigan Constitution, Article 1, Section 9 and 10, Clause 3.
Is it the Michigan Constitution?
Yeah, of 1963.
Judge, I'm sorry, it's breaking up. Is it possible he could come closer to that microphone that you said? It helps. The microphone helps, but
I know. It's no.
Article 1, Section 9 and 10, Clause 3.
Okay, so you said Article, Michigan Constitution. Article
Article 1, Section 9 and 10, Clause 3.
19.
Bills of attainder is unlawful, such as ex post facto laws.
Section 19 says, in all prosecutions for libels, the truth may be given in evidence to the jury. And if it appears to the jury that the matter charged as libelous is true and was published with good motives and for justifiable ends, the accused shall be acquitted.
That Article 1, Section 9 and 10.
Oh, I thought you said
Clause-
section 19.
No.
You see, you're not speaking up loud enough for me to hear.
Section 9 and 10, Clause 3.
9. Slavery and involuntary servitude.
Being in the state of
Neither
Michigan.
state nor involuntary servitude, unless for the punishment of crime, shall be tolerated in the state. What slavery am I asking you to do right now?
The state of Michigan is trying to convert my right to a political privilege, trying to force me into a contract.
You don't have to get a license, but if you're stopped in a car while you're driving, it's a rule of the state of Michigan that you have to have a license to drive. You know, you do not ever have to get a license, ever. But if you drive a vehicle, the Constitution affords each state and municipality the opportunity to create laws to protect people.
I get it. The statutes is to enforce law.
Correct.
And the Constitution is to uphold lawful law.
That's right.
And the citizens have a right to travel throughout the state.
You can travel on a bicycle, on your feet, on a bus. If you do not want to get a license, the license is created so that you have the opportunity to know that you understand what the rules and the traffic signals mean. So that, because this is what happens, and the court gets to interpret why certain laws are put into place. Because if incidents happen where people don't have licenses and don't have the ability for us to track that person driving, then what you're gonna do is sue the state of Michigan because you're gonna say they should have had something in place.
I comprehend what you're saying, but Section 10 say.
Let me look at section 10. Okay. It says no bill of attenders, ex post facto law or laws impairing the obligation of contract shall be enacted.
Meaning, the state of Michigan cannot force contracts amongst citizens. We have a right, a constitutional right to travel out the state in an automobile.
Yeah, no, it doesn't say in an automobile. Where in the Constitution does it say you have the right to travel in an automobile?
Our constitutional right is to have life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
That's right.
We travel in automobiles, not
No.
vehicles.
Tell me where in the Constitution it says that you can have an automobile.
Shapiro versus Thompson.
Shapiro versus Thompson.
Shapiro versus Thompson, we have a right to travel throughout the states. Jurisdiction to jurisdiction.
You do. Listen, I'm not denying you have the right to travel. You can travel in the state of Michigan and any state that I'm aware of in order to travel and ride in your own vehicle.
Automobile.
You have to have automobile, vehicle, car, whatever it is. If you want to physically get behind the wheel and drive it, you have to have a driver's license. I'm not saying you can't travel. You can travel as much as you want on the road.
But a minute ago, you said I don't have to have a driver's license.
You don't. But if you want to get behind a vehicle and drive it yourself personally, you have to have a license. You don't have to. Listen, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. But if you choose to, then certain things kick in as rights that the states and municipalities and governments have to enforce the rules as long as they've been found not unconstitutional. It's not unconstitutional. Remember, we can have stricter laws in the states. They can't violate federal laws, but they can be stricter. And each state has decided, and I'll just talk about the state of Michigan. The state of Michigan has decided in order for you to drive an automobile, a car, a vehicle, that you have to have a license.
For business, yes, correct. Doing business, commerce,
No,
taxi cabs, Uber.
no, because they have different type of licenses in the state of Michigan too. So they have a specific license if you want to do commerce. There are different licenses. So driver's license say there are different levels to them. So yes, for business. If it was only a business license, I would get you. You only need one for business. But on the driver's license, that's not what it says. But I'll let you continue your argument and then I'll let her have her response, Madam Prosecutor. So continue.
I'll let her.
Okay. Respond.
Your Honor, I would agree with the court on that. I would also kind of reiterate that it is a privilege to drive. It is not a right to drive. It is a privilege.
I object,
With the
Your Honor.
Constitution.
I object.
No, she didn't object during your statement.
I object.
To what?
She used the term drive, travel.
Travel. Can you use the word travel?
Can you find the word drive?
Driving is getting into a vehicle and moving it under the power of an engine or under the power of an engine on public highways, streets, and freeways.
And the definition of travel is going to point A to point B
You know, and again,
and not driving a commerce.
excuse me, I'm not finished with my argument. I allowed you to proceed, and I expect you to give me that same courtesy. Okay, thank you. Also, there's a rational basis that the Supreme Court has articulated when it comes to the Constitution. The fact that, I'm sorry, I'm looking at him instead of the court, Your Honor.
It's okay.
Rational basis for our rules and regulations, and that is for the security and the safety of the public and the public welfare for people. And that's why.
Hold on, no. We're not gonna play the interruption game. This is not the interruption game. Now, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to respond, but while she's talking, we're not gonna interrupt her and say under what law. Okay, go ahead, Attorney Mason.
So there's a rational basis which the Supreme Court has articulated in cases that show that they have a right to regulate certain types of activities among the people in the United States. And so a rational basis is the security and the protection of people regarding driving multi-vehicle, heavy vehicles upon its public highways, roads, freeways. And I believe that he does not have an unfettered right. You just don't have an unfettered right without any type of regulation to travel in a vehicle on the public highways, freeways, roads in the city of Detroit, the county of Wayne, the state of Michigan, and the United States of America. I also believe that this court does have jurisdiction which has been given to it through the state of Michigan, through the state constitution, which gives and creates the judicial, the legislative, and the executive branches, and through the powers of the federal constitution, which comes down and grants that power to the 36th District Court. In addition, Your Honor, based upon the citation provided to Mr. Williams, he has pretty much relegated himself to this jurisdiction when he did get his license, which starts with the letter W 452-793-785-529. He lives within the jurisdiction of this city, which the address is, if I can make that out. So he has subjected himself to the jurisdiction of this state, of this city, and this county.
Thank you. Did you have a response, sir?
Yes, I'm not a US citizen, and the ID she's talking about, I never had a driver's license. And the ID been canceled since 2018. I am not a resident of US. I'm a USA citizen, state citizen, state of the union citizen, not a US citizen.
Okay, so if you're not.
And this is proof that I never had a driver's license.
Okay, so you use the Constitution I read your brief. Use Constitution, the United States 13. What about 14? I said, what about the 14th Amendment? You talked about incited in your stuff, the 13th Amendment about slavery, but then, so the Constitution applies to you, correct? The United States of America Constitution applies.
Correct.
Okay, so the 14th Amendment states.
For the 14th Amendment, You had state citizens, then after the 14th Amendment, that's when they created US citizens.
Okay, so you already know it says all persons
Persons,
born
I'm not a person.
or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the states in which they reside. How do we deal with that?
I'm not a US citizen. I'm a state
But
citizen.
they said all persons born or naturalized. Naturalized means if you just come here.
That's not what that means. I have no contracts with the state of Michigan.
Just because you don't want to have it doesn't mean
It's
it
not about
doesn't
not wanting.
exist.
We follow the Constitution. You took
Yes,
oath to the Constitution, right?
Listen, it says no state, at further goes on to say, no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor should any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of the law.
Correct.
So
With
this
the law,
is-
the
this
law
is-
of the land, which
this
is
is due-
supreme
So
rulings.
here's the due process of the land, though. If you didn't commit these offenses, you have a trial. That's what due process is.
But I submitted a denial of corporation. This court has no jurisdiction. I have no contract with the state of Michigan whatsoever.
You don't, okay. So the fact that you say you don't have contract doesn't make that not true. And we're not talking about contracts. We are
All right.
simply, you're not a corporation, you're a human. If these tickets were written against your corporation, that would be different. This
It
is
is written
against
against
a
the-
human being
They written
that I can
against,
see physically in front of me right now,
you
who's
see me, but
talking.
the paperwork don't see me. That's a council ID from 2018. That's a dead entity.
Listen, and it's a cancel ID, but they found you all while you were driving behind a vehicle. A Chrysler 2006 white vehicle at East Davidson and Mount Elliott, a Cadillac vehicle in the area of Midden and Gunston, a GMC vehicle in the area of East Jefferson and Garland Streets,
Your Honor, I
the
pose no threat.
Chrysler, and that you just had those three vehicles, it looks like.
Your Honor, I pose no threat to the community.
And
I travel throughout the
I'm not
state.
saying, but you have to follow what the laws of this city are.
Follow the law of the land. Supreme Court ruling, Shapiro versus Thompson. We have
Okay,
the right to travel.
read to me what it says.
Because the constitutional right to free movement between states was implicated, the court applied a standard of strict scrutiny and held none of these interests were sufficient to sustain the waiver requirement. The court held that there was no evidence that the requirement would make planning a budget more predictable than, let me get to the point. Finally, the court rejected an argument that Congress had authority, but, I'm sorry. Finally, the court rejected the argument that Congress had authorized the waiver period because Congress does not have the power to authorize violations of equal protection clause. And the equal protection clause
And
is
what is that case referring to, though?
the right to travel,
The right to travel. Was it in a vehicle?
automobile.
Automobile, was it in an
And
automobile?
further, the court reaffirmed that the right to travel under the 14th Amendment, privileges and immunities clause, and Suez versus Roe, 1999.
Right,
This is
So-
upheld by the Supreme Court.
so the right to travel in an automobile, that's what it was talking about? In that case, no, the first one, the
How
people
else
versus
would you
Shapiro.
travel throughout the state? How else would you travel throughout the
No,
state?
no. You,
It didn't say
how else do you
exercise.
travel?
It didn't say
It's, no.
exercise throughout the state.
How else do you travel? Tell me. Tell me the means of
Automobiles?
transportation that we have in the United States of America. And I want you to tell me every means. We have trains,
Automobile.
we have planes, we have bicycles, we have buses, we have luxury coaches, we have the RV motor vehicles, we have tractor trailers, we have legs,
Automobile.
that we have automobiles. So what specifically in there does it say that the right to travel only applies to automobiles.
No, not only, of course
Okay.
not. Of course not.
So it doesn't say you have the right to travel only if you use this means. It says you have the right. If I tell you you can't go someplace, that you can't have the right to travel, you can't leave at all, either you must be in prison or you must be on probation, and I'm having some type of authority that leads me to do that. I can't stop you at any point from time. Today, if you want to walk out and go to another state, you can. But you have to use a means that you're able to use. And once you go behind the seat of a car and vehicle and you use it to travel, because I'm not stopping you from traveling, because you can get there. It may not be by the way that you want to get there, but and it doesn't say in there that it's by the way that you want to get there. It says if I stop you, there are many means by which you can get to where you want to go. But if you take the opportunity to get behind the wheel of a vehicle, you now subject yourself to the rights and privileges of those who have a driver's license.
Under what law?
Under the law of the United States of America, passed down to the state of Michigan, passed down to the municipality to create laws and regulations to help with the protection of society. And I told you the reason why, and I don't know exactly, I haven't read the legislative intent, but I'm imagining it was twofold: to protect society from one another and at least give us some type of skills. Now I know you have the skills, or maybe you should possess the skills to know what traffic signs are, to know what speed limit signs are, to understand what all of those things are, and probably also to help with the liability. Because if there were accidents and nobody was held liable because I don't have to have anything, well then who's in trouble? The individuals, yes. But then they're gonna say, but you let us do this, and you fixed the roads, and you created roads and paths for us to be able to travel on, or traverse on, or to drive on, or to move about on, and now it's your responsibility to govern these roads.
I have to object to that. Nothing you said is in law, like that's not constitutional.
It's the law, it's the 14th Amendment is what I'm standing on.
What about the
Anything versus-
US, the Michigan US
This is the Constitution of the United States of America that I read.
Okay,
That is the 14th Amendment of the United States of America Constitution.
But you asked for laws in Michigan, right? Which
Which one is it? Do you want the laws of Michigan or do you want the laws of the United States of America?
it's the same thing.
Exactly.
No.
My point, sir, Mr.
No,
Williams, you are here
Right.
today. Let me say.
No, I think,
Okay, with the
I
argument.
think both of us misinformed.
No,
I
I'm
think
not
both of us
misinformed. Mr. Williams, you came today because your name means something to you. And you have all these tickets and you would like to resolve them at some point in time because your name means something to you. And the fact that you have these matters out here means something to you. Because otherwise you would do what everybody else does who believes in this stuff, and they would just not show up and just be like, whatever, because it doesn't apply to me. But your name means something and you want to take care of these. Even if you're not traveling, one of your tickets, ticket SP 1418401, count one of that ticket is open alcohol in a motor vehicle driver. Would you like to at least address that ticket?
Well, people want to see an old bottle in the back seat, so
So you hear it, Mr. Williams? You can address these tickets, right? Because that's a ticket that don't have to do nothing with you driving at that point in time. That's a ticket in the state of Michigan that you're saying that you weren't traveling at that point in time. It's just a ticket about what's going on in that vehicle that you own and you have. So how do we address, and that's my, I won't say confusion, but that's my point where I need clarity. How do we address those tickets if you say that the rest of them, how do we address tinted windows?
it's a private automobile. There's nothing wrong with it.
What about seatbelts?
How do you see I have a seatbelt on if I got 10 windows?
So you come and you want to talk about the travel and the rights, so you just want to do whatever you want to do.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, because why don't you want to do whatever you want to do?
It's not the right
Go,
thing to
go,
do. I haven't
no,
caught you, Your Honor. Your
You
Honor.
know why?
I'm relying on the US Supreme Court rulings, so I can't be charged with willfully just driving around. Like, I'm really relying on law.
Right.
I'm not just out here willy-nilly
Right.
doing what I want to do. That's
Right.
not the case.
So what about, let's move on to another ticket. What about your insurance? If it's so important to you that you can drive with your car and everything, why is your car not insured?
Something happened. That's freaking nature. That's me and the other citizen will.
So, Mr. Williams, if I just decide I don't want to have it and then somebody gets critically injured and they sue you for their people's injuries, because that's what ends up happening. There's never enough resources.
That's not the point here.
Okay,
That's not the point.
so why don't you have not the insurance? Okay, another alcohol.
One alcohol.
Three. Listed the same day, let me check.
Yeah, that's something not right.
Your Honor, with all due respect, I think my other courtroom is still,
Okay, your other courtroom, all right. Unless you can show me
Your
how
Honor.
the 14th Amendment of the United States of America Constitution, I'm gonna print it out for you.
Excuse me, she just explained to you how you have jurisdiction, and nothing she said was true. I
Just
never had
because
a
you
driver's
say it's
license.
not true.
I never had a driver's license.
Okay,
I'm
you
not
don't
even-
have, which makes it even worse, because you can't drive if
She
you
said
don't
I
have
have
a
a
driver's
driver's license.
Okay,
and
so
I'm
you
not,
don't have a driver's license. You had a Michigan State ID, correct?
which was canceled
Okay, which was
2018.
canceled
I
a
have
long time ago.
US
So you
passport.
don't have a driver's license, am I correct?
I have a state passport.
Okay, what's a state passport? Let me see it. Is it something legally given by the United States of America?
Of course.
Okay, where is it?
She haven't reached out to the DOS or federal court to get
You
the
have a
correct
United States of America passport.
of America, not
So-
United States.
So the 14th Amendment applies to you. Let me print out the 14th Amendment of the United States, and you can go back to your courtroom, Attorney Mason.
thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, nothing she said has stand.
I don't know. I'm gonna print this out and I'm gonna let you sit there and read over
Well,
it.
Your Honor,
Because now
nothing
you're
she
showing me
said
that
has
you are abiding by the Constitution of the United States of America by getting this passport. Am I correct? That is correct. That's a wonderful passport. I love it because it allows you to travel internationally, locally, and everything, and go about any way that you need to get there. And let's drive it in the state of Michigan. Yeah, that's it. Did it come out right? Yep, get it back, that's fine. Just sit there and read that, off the record in this motion for a moment. Ready on the other matter, Attorney Baldwin?
State prosecutor.
Okay. Did you talk to the state prosecutor, Attorney Baldwin, on this matter?
Judge, are we on the record?
Huh?
Are we on the record with this?
Yeah, let me just finish it up and I gave him a document that I just wanted to check on, and then.
Can he come up closer then? Because I had a terrible.
So security, it's based on security in the courtroom, Miss Sandy. So
All right.
he step a little,
Well, if he could speak
put
up.
that back down there. You monitor me. Coming over here to the other one. All right. Thank you. All right. Back on the record in the People versus Timothy Williams. Mr. Williams, say your name real loud for me.
Timothy.
All right. What's your last name?
Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. All right. Mr. Williams, did you have an opportunity to look over the 14th Amendment I gave you?
Yes, I did. And once again, this don't pertain. They say all persons born or naturalized. I'm not a person. I'm a live human being.
All right. You have any final words before I make my ruling?
No, and the current prosecutor that came and said what she said, I served the
Former prosecutor.
former prosecutor.
You did. I saw that you served it.
Even if she taking her place, she's still honoring the same oath as a
That's right.
legislator. So I served default and notice to cure, and I haven't got a response.
Yeah. The default, so I asked you to file a very specific motion, Mr. Williams. It was to challenge, I said to challenge jurisdiction. The last time you were here, you wanted to challenge jurisdiction. And I wanted you to be able to challenge jurisdiction. You can't challenge whatever you, like, whatever it is. So the court's gonna find that you are in accordance, especially because you say that you operate under the Constitution. Well, the Constitution is all of it. It's not the parts we want to choose.
So you got separation of powers. I'm under judicial jurisdiction.
I am judicial jurisdiction.
What, you were judicial?
I'm a judge.
So you an Article 3 judge?
I'm a judge under the Constitution. Like, I'm a judge, so I've taken the oath to follow the Constitution of the United States, more particularly the Constitution of the city of Detroit and the state of Michigan. Those are the things you do have to follow. And
facts of what Michigan State.
Okay, so who has authority over you then?
Judicial, not legislature.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to rule that I do have authority over you for these tickets. What's the next action that you want to take? Do you want to have a jury trial on these matters where we have citizens decide? You can argue all of this that you want to argue, with the exception of jurisdiction, because I'm ruling today that I have jurisdiction over you.
I understand, but can you explain how do you have jurisdiction over you?
Because under the Constitution, it gives the powers to the three parts. You're right. So we have the judiciary, the legislator, and the president, right? So in the state of Michigan, that would be like our governor, then the legislative branch, then the judicial branch, right? So judicial branch is like the judges. We're the ones who enforce the law that the legislators make. And then the governor's job is to make sure that they represent the state in all matters that take place and happen.
The United States of America.
It's the same.
Power to the legislature to enact laws on persons.
You are quoting it exactly. You are so intelligent that you're stating the argument that makes my argument stronger for all of this.
You saying that the legislature is up under judicial?
No, I'm saying the legislator creates laws that the judicial. So when they create the Constitution, it was made for checks and balances, right? So that no one will overrun everybody, right? So it was like the president, the executive office. I couldn't think of it for the life of me. The executive office operates separately, but has checks and balances from the legislative and the judicial branch, as well as the judicial branch has to follow the legislative orders. But it's through their interpretation that the judicial branch has that and can check legislators, as well as we just had a whole bunch of hearings about all of that. So you're stating it perfectly correct. Yes, Mr. Williams.
I comprehend that the legislature create statutes and laws for the persons, for the U.S. citizens.
That's right.
A citizen.
You a U.S. citizen.
I'm a state citizen.
Okay.
Michigan state citizen.
But even if you're not a U.S. citizen, then under the 14th Amendment, it states that any person who comes here and enforce themselves of it, whether you. Mr. Timothy Williams, who's standing before me today with the orange, yellow, looking very nice, button-up shirt, you are a person according to the United States of America Constitution, which you have what you say you have that has jurisdiction over you. Like, it makes you a person. You're breathing, you're living, you're walking, you're moving. You have the activity, all of your limbs, your eyes, your ears, your brain is phenomenal. So you are a person according to what these acts and rules need to follow.
Acts and rules, not laws.
That's my ruling. What do you want to do next with this?
I would like to enter default judgment on.
Okay, motion denied. What do you want to do? Your options are that you can have a bench trial. That's just a trial before me. All the officers would have to appear online, or we can have them come in person. And then I am denying your affidavit. Okay.
I do a jury trial.
Okay. You want jury trial? Okay. Let me get you a date. Are you representing yourself, or do you want counsel? Okay.
Represent myself.
Okay. My next jury trial date it's April 22nd. Let me see, does that work for you? Okay, April 22nd, check your phone and see.
I'm open.
You open? Okay, so I'm gonna have you come online though, online on that Friday, just to make sure we're still moving forward, and then it's in person on the 22nd. You see what I'm saying?
I'd like to come in.
Huh?
Can I come in?
You come in on the Friday. You wanna come in? No, I can't. Not that Friday before. I won't be here. Let me see. You can't do online on the 19th?
I'll go online.
Okay.
What is it for?
Just to make sure that we're going to go to trial on that Monday.
That won't be necessary. So try.
Do I have to have a pre-trial to make sure though, that the people are ready? It might be because the people have to be able to make sure that their witnesses are going to come. So with certain things that need to be put into place, just to make sure. Any jury instructions that you want that are non-standard need to be presented that day as well. Okay? All right. So other than that, we'll set this for it. That's not a bad day. Let me not do that day because I'm just coming back in town. And I know that's not gonna, if anything happens, I know you want your day. What about May 6th? Okay, I just want to make sure, you know how flights get delayed and then you'll be extra upset with me if I can't move forward that day. So May 6th, so that Friday before, which is May 3rd, online, just to make sure we're moving forward. That's all that is. And to make sure that the prosecution or the city can move forward on their case.
John, I would like to let y'all know y'all is creating injury, and y'all do know y'all have to go before at least the DOS to see if they have jurisdiction over. But I'll take proper steps to do what I need to do because I'm not feeling equal protected. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. Listen, I never get mad at when people believe.
I'm not mad,
but we
I'm
following,
just,
you know, I'm
because the people, you know what I'm saying, they all we want to do is the right thing, right? But when we got higher ups, it's not really upholding they like.
I know, but you have to be, let me tell you this, and this is not about all this. We have to be accountable for ourselves, no matter what everybody else is doing in this world, right? You have to be accountable for yourself. You know how many people I see doing stuff that I just be like, they shouldn't be doing all the time? But my set of right and wrong may be different from your set of right and wrong, correct? But there is something, that's why we have these laws, right? So it's written out in black and white so that we can be able to see it. And then we have the interpretation, as you said, right? The legislative and the judicial department interprets it as well, based on how it's been practiced in the past. But you can't get caught up in looking at, oh, all these people are doing wrong, so why I gotta follow all of this? You're gonna get lost down a rabbit hole. Well, what were you talking about then?
I'm saying the people that catch these tickets, all we want to do is the right thing, but we're not being informed. Like they try to make us get a driver's license, insurance, but they need to let us know if it's voluntary or mandatory.
It's mandatory in the state of Michigan.
It's requirement. It's a requirement.
Right, if you want to drive a vehicle, exactly. Mr. Williams, I want you to go home and listen to this. You keep saying everything. It's required, right? It's required.
But it's not lawful.
Because
Michigan Constitution says so. That's involuntary slavery.
What's your definition of slavery? Maybe that's where I'm getting lost.
Slavery, like the police pull us over. Since he can't pull his gun out, put his heads and give me your money, I'm gonna give you this ticket and you gonna pay none. And
no.
We come here and
no, I asked what the definition was of slavery.
Making us.
Slavery is the involuntary.
The legislature create persons by license, registration, insurance, and things of that nature.
You're intelligent, Paul. You are so.
I'm trying to.
You are so.
That's why the Constitution is created.
Slavery is the condition in which one human being was owned by another.
Right, and y'all, the legislature think they own everybody, persons, they own pieces of paper, they don't own human beings.
That's a belief, right?
Fact.
That's your belief,
Article 1,
right?
Section 9, 10, Clause 3 states that. I'm not just making it up.
State of the US Constitution or the Michigan Constitution.
It's the same thing, US, Michigan Constitution, 1963. Like,
Then you said same thing. William, stop talking.
it's
I'll see you on
the
the
US,
trial.
Michigan Constitution.
Michigan. So Article 1.
Section 9 and 10, Clause 3.
Right. And then I said, well, slavery. And slavery is the ownership of one person by another and asking them to do labor
Right.
in order for free.
Legislature asks us to get a license, not informing us it's voluntary, not mandatory. So when we do get a license, we guilty before we innocent. When we enter into a contract, we bound by these statutes, which was make us guilty automatically. And that's unconstitutional, that's unlawful.
But in the Constitution,
Our
it
God-given
also
right.
says innocent until found guilty, right? But not in the Constitution.
You automatically guilty once you enter into
Oh,
a
no,
contract.
you said the Constitution. I'm sorry, it's in the Bill of Rights. I correct myself. It's in the Bill of Rights, which is a part of the Constitution, but it's not physically in the Constitution. It is in the Bill of Rights. And I think the Fifth Amendment is what talks about the legal system being fair and unfair.
So I'm all right.
So what?
What slavery is, involuntary slavery.
No.
So what's section 10 say?
You're
What
saying,
does that mean?
because you're saying that when you, and off the record, now, I've already made my ruling, you're all set.
But what does it mean? Can you tell me what it means?
So the Constitution is, and the slavery aspect was for them physically owning us, and particularly Black, indigenous people from the continent of Africa, bringing us over, and then after a while, forcing us to procreate and have additional human beings to work fields, was giving them no pay,
Well, slavery,
ownership of
it's
them,
been
branding them,
modernized.
because now they ask you to get a license that you don't have to get.
Right.
If you want to drive a vehicle on the roads, correct? Because, and one of the reasons why they do it, because then who's paying for these roads if we don't have no revenue for them?
Commerce.
Commerce of the businesses. So you should have a license if you want to drive a truck, and that's it.
No, Uber, taxi. I don't get it.
Help me, Mr. Williams. You just said no, you should not only have a license, because let me tell you what the argument that I'm hearing right now in my head. What I hear you saying is that this is, let me see. This is the
Can you read section 10 for me?
section 10 of the,
Article
which
1.
one?
Article 1, Section 9, Clause 3.
Keep talking about this bill of attainder.
Oh, listen to this.
Okay, I'm listening, even if I can't see you.
Bill of attainder.
Okay.
According to Constitution Annotated, Congress.gov, a bill of attainder is legislation that imposes punishment on a specific person or group of people without a judicial trial.
Right, but I haven't given you any punishment. I can see if you pled guilty and I just had you plead guilty and I told you you couldn't have a trial. You can't have nothing. I don't even know if these allegations are true or not. They've just been alleged at this point in time. So it says, so that what that is saying essentially is if I say, you come before me today and I say, you did everything they said you did and more. Let me fine you. I'm gonna give you a $500 fine on it. And you standing there looking at me and you're like, what? And I'm like, I don't care what you say. I'm gonna just give you a fine because that's what you get. I mean, look, you're here before me today, so you must have done something wrong. That's what that's saying, without giving you the opportunity to be like, oh, hold up a minute. I didn't do anything wrong. I want to fight this. Oh, okay. Well, let me give you the opportunity to fight it. You got to listen to every single word. And if it just says that first part without the end part, okay, I could be like, okay, that's interesting. But what it's saying is that I impose something. I give it to you.
Okay, interpret section 10.
So what it's saying is that if at all, section 10, let me pull it up again. I thought I had it on my computer. Article 9, Section 3, Michigan State Constitution. I must be missing one of the Article 1,
Section 10,
Section 10.
Clause 3.
It is the Constitution of Michigan, 1963. The general government. Is it under the general government?
It's under Michigan Constitution.
Right, declarations, elections, general government, judicial branch,
Bill of Rights, you just had.
Declaration of Rights.
Bill of Rights.
So when I pull up the 1963 Michigan Constitution, this is what it says.
Article 1.
It says
Section 10.
1, Section 2. Department contracts, no bill of attainder, ex post facto laws or laws impairing the obligations of contracts should be enacted. Okay.
Read the last part, impairing what? Impairing obligation.
Because obligations of contracts should be enacted.
What are they talking about? The contracts.
This is for, bill of attainders aren't for us.
Bill of
For
attainders.
entities.
Bill of attainders is contracts, license, registration. If I purchase a vehicle, it's up to me to either register it or keep it private. If I register it, then the government now have interest, and they get to regulate my private property.
Attainer is an act declaring a group of people crime punishable, usually without a trial.
Right. Once you
Right.
enter a contract, you
Without a
automatically guilty.
Of the state and federal governments, that the fact that the ban extends to the states now just shows the importance of those who draft the Constitution. The ban enforces the separation of powers by forbidding the legislative branch of government from engaging in judicial and executive acts. The ban supports the concept of due process, one of the rights attributed to the Constitution. Each individual state's constitution also forbids insurances of bills of attainder. Bill of attainder is forbidden by Wisconsin's Constitution. The separation of power. It talks about the separation of powers, checks and balances.
You just read
It's
that it keeps the legislature from acting.
you know
as-
what? This is talking about they can't individually enter into contracts with like other entities. Like I can't enter into a contract with the state of Michigan, can't enter into a contract with another. So you gotta read why, because I'm all like, why does it keep talking about the separation of powers and stuff like that?
Yeah, it
So
keeps
it's
the
talking about,
legislature, like you just read,
Right,
it keeps the legislature
right.
from acting judicially.
so that means that that means that the president can't go out here and enact all these deals and stuff with different foreign
Even the
nations
president is
without,
legislation.
do you wanna know what this is about or not? Cause you interpret it for what you want, but then you have, now I got to go online
Well, it is
and look
interpreted in
up
my
the
favor.
stuff. Right, no,
I am the beneficiary.
no,
Yeah.
no, but, so
Your Honor,
the
Your Honor,
important thing.
what's said,
So-
what's said, Your Honor, can I speak?
Yes,
said?
go ahead.
You were intelligent too, right?
Mhm.
God created man, man created government, government
Mhm.
created corporations, corporations created corporation entities. It's impossible for the creation to rule over its creator, right? The legislature create persons, like offices of persons. The legislature can't create people. So the legislature somehow persuade living people to enter into this contract, which is a license.
I don't have to listen. I have not once told you you had to get a license.
I understand, Your Honor, but I'm gonna use you. You intelligent, right? You work under the judicial, no, you work
Yeah, I'm
under
under
the
judicial, no, I'm under,
legislature.
well, I interpret the acts of the legislator, but I'm under the judicial. You're right, I'm under judicial branch.
And our constitutional rights keep government from overstepping. So what gave you power is the Constitution, right? And somehow, like you intelligent, it seemed like the legislature like had possessed a lot of the people. And since they try to possess other people, the legislature got. I mean, but so you give life to the legislature don't give life to you.
To some extent, so you know that they give us some of our powers though, right?
But your ultimate power comes from the Constitution.
It does, but they give us powers as well. Like based on the
And
law.
if you
So if
balance
it wasn't
the
no
vote-
laws, there
if you
wouldn't
balance the
be, if it
vote-
wasn't no laws, there wouldn't be no need for judges, right?
Right, but if you balance the vote.
And that goes back biblical now. Don't go biblical on me.
If
Cause you don't know
balance the
this,
vote-
but I
if
love
you
a good
balance the
biblical.
vote,
He said,
That's
well,
what-
hold on a second, one second. One second. Yeah. Miss Redling, if you want to listen, you don't have to. I can't even end it.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
It's okay. I'm just gonna ask you to,
No, it's no big deal. I can go. I need to prepare for my afternoon
Okay.
class, and I apologize for my camera not being on. For some
No,
reason, it acts
you are
wonky.
fine, Ms. Redling. If you have to have discussions about this, just let me know, okay?
Okay, thank you so much for your time and consideration.
To the argument. So, all right, enjoy school today.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, guys, we have come to the end of this proceeding. And man, I'm not going to lie. That was a whole lot to digest. I'm not going to go in on the commentary, just going to say a couple things. That was a whole lot to digest. I mean, Mr. Williams, I mean, he had all types of arguments. I mean, obviously, the normal one with jurisdiction, the whole license thing, him canceling it and talking about, he doesn't want to be in a contract with the state. And the judge made it clear, like, look, you don't have to And I don't think he didn't understand what she was saying. I think he just was playing the game, but she clearly made it clear you don't have to get a driver's license, but if you want to drive, you need one. Like if we allow anybody to just drive around without a license, without registration, without insurance, who do you hold accountable if there's an accident, right? So, he just kept going on with, it's like every time she got him on something, he jumped into something else. And poor Miss Sandy, the court reporter, man, you could just see her constantly shaking her head. She couldn't hardly hear what was going on. And then when she was finally told that she could go, man, she was super happy to get out of there. But me personally, I think Judge Taylor did a good job dealing with Mr. Williams, but I think she went on a little too long with Mr. Williams. But that's my personal opinion. But I think she did so because she seemed to be a little fond of him and kind of like him. Maybe it's his personality, maybe it's the way he's arguing his points. But the prosecutor sure didn't. She definitely was tired of the nonsense. And if you looked to the bottom corner, to when she went back to her office, it seemed like she was talking about what was going on out in the courtroom with Mr. Williams and Judge Taylor, and then eventually she just checked out of there. But I mean, this guy, he went on, and like I said, we have 3 more appearances to a finale of his particular case, and we will be showing that on tomorrow. But yeah, that was kind of I don't even know the words to use. It was definitely a lot to process. But nonetheless, Judge Taylor, I think she did a pretty good job. Who knows how long they kept on talking after the cameras were cut. But we will have the rest of those appearances for you guys. And with that being said, thank you as always for joining Sovereign Citizens Hall of Fame. So once again, guys, this is Sovereign Citizens Court. And for now, court is adjourned. We'll see you tomorrow for those final appearances. God bless.